Welcome to Gene and Mike do the New York Times crossword. Gene is still off tonight, so I am still doing solo duty for Friday, December 5th, 2025. Apologies for not getting a podcast out for Thursday. Funny thing happened on the way to that podcast. I fell asleep on Thursday, and by the time I woke up, it was quite late, and so I decided to try this crossword instead for today, and managed to get through it, and I am now here to talk about it. First of all, when I started working on this crossword as I was waking up, I was thinking that it was quite difficult, and it's hard to tell whether or not it was because I was waking up or because it was really a hard crossword, but based on a few remarks on wordplay, I think it was a hard crossword. It certainly took me some time to get traction. I don't remember where I got traction, but it was definitely in the southeast corner of the grid. I think it might have been 47 across, which is almost at the bottom of the grid. It's perfect, 3 letters long, and I went for 10, and that was in fact the answer. And then 43 across, sauce whose name derives from the Italian word for crush. That was pesto. I mainly put that down because it was a 5-letter sauce. And other than salsa, which may or may not be a sauce, that was the only one I could think of, pesto, at the time. We had 43 down, unwitting mark. That was a patsy. Well, I had the P of pesto, and what else could follow the P in terms of unwitting mark but patsy? We had 34 across, words of retaliation. Take that. Something I generally don't say, but those certainly are words of retaliation. I had trouble with 30 down, I had trouble with most of the clues in this crossword, to be honest, but 30 down, kind of instinct was maternal. That took me a bit. And then that M of maternal led into 30 across, fun size, which was mini. Is not what I was thinking of originally, but that's what it turned out to be. So eventually I sort of got through the bottom right of the crossword, which is sort of where we are looking now. We did have 45 across, where much of Brokeback Mountain was filmed. And I had it starting with an A, and I thought maybe it's Arkansas. And then I had a few other letters and thought it could be Atlanta, but it turned out to be Alberta, which makes more sense because Brokeback Mountain certainly sounds like it has mountains somewhere in it. We had tricks 42 down, and that was ploys. I was poised to get that. Haha. Something blocked by censors, 52 across. It was 5 letters across, and I was thinking, well, nudes, but that didn't sound quite right. Turns out it was curse. Not sure if censors are actually still around, but if they are, I'm sure that's what they would block. Shade of red for 32 down. Again, when I was starting to work on this crossword, I'm like, no idea, but it turned out to be claret, which I guess I should have recognized. 31 across, film with the tagline, someone has taken their love for scary movies one step too far, Scream. That sounds like a fun movie. I bet it's a hoot as well as a scream. 38 across, word with fire or false, that was alarm. I think that was another one of the clues that I got relatively easily. I didn't get 26 across relatively easily. Spot likely to smear, attack ad. That was cute. And then we had the mysterious 14 down. Skin layer with hair follicles was derma. I know there's the epidermis and then there's the dermis. I've never heard of it referred to as the derma, but then again, I am not a skin doctor, nor do I play one on TV, so perhaps that is in fact a legitimate word. If you happen to be a dermatologist, do you use derma in conversation? Let us know, crosswordpodcast@icloud.com. Of course, we do not want you to violate any rules of HIPAA, so please don't tell us if you use derma while talking to patients unless you can anonymize their name. 14 across was cute. Words of caution, don't poke the bear. Always a good idea. We had 1 across, home to Kotoka International Airport. That was Ghana. I did not know that. And 1 down, what clones share. I wanted it to be something involving DNA, but it turned out to be gene set. 19 across, that S of gene set ran into, 19 across was up. So I had awoke. but it turned out to be arisen. That worked much better for that part of the grid. Once again, my lack of knowledge of artists caused some grief with 23 across. Dutch artist Jan van der, and I thought it was going to be something Boer or something like that, but it was Meer, M-E-E-R. 25 across. Stick in an orchestra was a baton. That wasn't too bad. And a dog treat was a bone. That also was pretty good. Fancy was like. I went back and forth between words like and words like posh, and it turned out they were going for like this time round. 13 down, sea shanty singer was a sailor, and eventually I got that. 11 across was terrific. Can't miss purchases, season tickets. Very nice. I liked 48 across. Might as well give it a shot. Here goes nothing. And then 51 across was fascinating to me. Age at which you just learned something you should have realized before, facetiously, and that was today years old. I've not heard that phrase before. I'm going to see if one day I can work it into casual conversation. That is it for the crossword then. Gene's not here, so we're not going to have a fun fact for Fun Fact Friday, but we will be back again with our cutting edge analysis of tomorrow's crossword tomorrow.